After a long wait, Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2 is finally here. So hello and welcome to NYZ and let's just jump into it. Today we are going to talk about episode 1 of the season. But before that, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to our channel since I do weekly anime and manga related content along with a bunch of other stuff. So let's just jump into it. But before that, just a quick disclaimer that this time around for part 2, I'm going to change my strategy of doing the reviews or breakdowns for all of these episodes. In the past, I have been really critical about the overall adaptation, but now that I'm caught up with the overall manga and the ending as well, I have honestly made my peace with the series. So even if I'm really upset about something, I'm not really going to bitch about it as much as I used to do for the first part of the season. I mean, let's be real about it, MAPPA has really done a good job so far with this season. They have had plenty of time at their hand, so the production is obviously of much higher quality. I still have my issues with the CGI Titan, not gonna lie. I would be a total hypocrite to myself if I say that okay, I love these CGI Titans, but I would definitely agree that this is a huge step up from what we saw in the first season, the first part of season 4, but I personally am not just a fan of these CGI Titans, and as a result of it, I have made my peace with this. MAPPA has done their job, MAPPA has done what they can at this moment, and I'm just going to move forward with this and just enjoy the season for what it is. I already know the ending of this manga, so I'm going to try to not ruin my personal experience while watching this anime. Now with that disclaimer out of the picture, I just want to say that this episode was really in a weird spot honestly, especially because how the previous episode, that is episode 16, was actually adapted. You know what, if we go chronologically by the manga reading chapters, this episode adapts nearly 4 chapters. Sure, if you're not caught up with the manga, you might say that is incredibly rushed, but at the same time it's not, because the previous episode, that is episode 16, incorporated elements from chapter 115, 116 and 117, but it left out a lot in that particular process. And this chapter, that is Judgment, tries to fill in everything which was left out from the previous episode, and therefore it takes in elements from chapter 115, 116, 117 and in fact the last part of 118 as well. Although the primary focus of this episode is the chapter titled Judgment, but there have been bits and pieces from here and there. The adaptation so far in my opinion is good, the pacing is decent, and I am 100% confident at this moment that with 12 episodes, this series is definitely going to have a movie or a part 3 at the very end. It's not going to be humanly possible for this season to have the entire ending at hand. I know that some people were really worried, especially after seeing the opening song because of that spoiler, but I'm really sure at this moment that this season is definitely going to have some sort of a follow-up, maybe a part 3 or maybe a movie. I've already talked in depth about all of those things. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you all to watch as to what might be the eventual, process for the ending of this finale. But moving forward, a huge round of applause and props to the opening department. This song is just an ass kicker. It's beautiful. It's everything which I wanted from an Attack on Titan season. For the previous one, the previous opening, My War, it took me a while to get on with it. In the end, I really enjoyed it a lot, but when I heard it for the very first time, I was like, this is a step down, I don't really like it. But that's not the case with this one. Immediately when I heard it, I had not even seen the visuals at that moment, I just heard the song. It just slapped. This is everything which a season like Attack on Titan, especially towards its very end, needed. The lyrics are absolutely on point, to the moment where some might say that it's cringy and too much on the nose, but screw that, who cares? This song is just a banger. It's like you are as if listening to heavy metal and immediately you are just nodding your head into the music, into the beat. It's just like giving you such a good dose of nostalgia wherein just music was simple. And at the same time, it also weirdly enough reminds me of Linkin Park as well. It really reminded me of Given Up, the song which Chester Bennington just popularized with his heavy focus, and it just had that particular vibe. It's heavy metal, it's just rocking, but it also has a somber tone. It just goes on to show the duality of Eren Yeager, and I definitely feel like the opening really sets up the tone of the season and what it's basically going to encompass. But moving forward, the episode actually begins with what we had cut off from the previous episode, basically the Levi scene. So what happens here is that Hanji actually finds out Levi, who is still sort of alive, but he was caught into the explosion and he's seriously, gravely injured. She tells Flock the lie that he's actually dead, Levi is actually dead, and in the chaos that ensued during Zeke's revival, she fled with Levi. It's really a one-to-one adaptation, there's nothing new or nothing incredibly well done here, it's just fine. But on the other hand, the Zeke moment was really well adapted. The remainder of his Paths moment and how he met Ymir, it was just beautifully done. The Paths moment with the blue background and his eventual revival from the belly of the Titan, it was just done really well. But you know what? Now in hindsight, I really feel like this scene was wasted a lot, especially because we never really get much of an explanation about why Ymir heals Zeke in the very first place. But moving on, it is what it is. These are some of the flaws which I have come to accept the overall series so far. Following all this, we have the banger opening, and after that, we get into the locker. We finally get into the prison where all the other people, including Mikasa, Armin and the others are, locked up and held up. With all the noises that are happening at the top, they definitely understand that the enemy is actually here and they try their best to, get out of this location. But it's obviously up to no avail. But at that particular moment, the proper attack by Marley actually begins and the grudge match, the rematch, whatever you want to call, between Eren and Reiner finally takes place. I mean, Galliard is obviously there in the form of the Jaws Titan, but the main grudge match or the rematch is obviously between Eren and Reiner. Galliard is trying to take his revenge for the time when Eren used him as a literal nutcracker, but of course he's not successful in that particular regard. And here, the hilarious moment happened. I mean, I wanted to see this from the manga so much because Galliard just snapped the wrist of Pieck because she wanted to transform. Previously, she was handcuffed with Gabi, but here, Pieck transformed into the Card Titan and she takes Gabi into the safe space. The safe space being to Commander Magat, but now he has been elevated to the commander level rank. But here, Pieck takes up her artillery like the cart which was on top of her and she goes to the wall because they have a really sinister plan at mind because they are going to snipe out Eren Yeager. And seeing all of this entire situation, Yelena yells at Eren that please come inside, you are at a disadvantage at this moment because she knows that Eren is going to be sniped here at this particular moment. But while all of these things are happening, while Pieck is taking up her cart, the Deus Ex Machina machine, the literal incarnate of Deus Ex Machina, Gabi, reminds everyone that what exactly is going on, what exactly is the plan of both Zeke as well as Eren. She remembers that when she came to the ship, she heard from Zeke that the plan is coming up because the Founding Titan and the Royal Blooded Titan are sort of going to meet once again. And this basically makes everyone think that, okay, this might be a plan. Zeke might be a traitor at this moment. He might be betraying Marley. But whatever be the case, the propaganda of the Marleyan soldiers continues because they are like, okay, you have to be the hero now, you have to end the Founding Titan here once and for all to make an end to this 100-year-old war. Yeah, as if nothing was their fault in the very first place. I mean, propaganda is such a huge part of AOT for both the sides, both Marley as well as Paradis. I've already talked about them in depth in prior videos of mine, you can go and watch them. You can find most of them in the I button above. There's also more information which is shared to the other people, mostly the Marleyan soldiers, about how the vine has been contaminated with Zeke's spinal fluid and it has been given to the enemy soldiers. But unfortunately, Falco is also caught into the mix. This is something which they didn't know up until this moment, but they would obviously try their best to solve this particular situation. But while all of this is happening, the fight between Galliard and Reiner versus Eren continues, and Eren is actually in a very tight spot at this moment, but he finally utilizes the powers of the Warhammer Titan. I honestly love this Titan. The Warhammer Titan is probably one of my favorite Titans of all time, but it's just a shame that Eren utilizes him so less. It's here in these moments that we actually get to see the utility, the true value or essence of this Titan, but unfortunately it is short-lived because the Warhammer Titan extinguishes or fatigues out very quickly, and even though both Reiner and Galliard are pierced by the Warhammer Titan spikes, Marley tries to capitalize on this moment wherein Pieck and her cart finally manage to get a hit on Eren, and this is devastating. It literally blows out a part of Eren's brain and he's about to be totally pinned down by Reiner, along with the spike of the Warhammer Titan, but at that very moment, Eren just screams. Now at this moment the episode actually cuts off and we don't get to see the finale of this fight. It's going to come up in the next episode, and as I said before, the overall adaptation is a little bit wonky. This episode adapted all the remaining elements from all of these chapters, and the next episode is going to contain the main parts of chapter 118. But this episode, on the other hand, only had the finale, the last part of chapter 118, which was Onyia Capone going to rescue the prisoners. While all the shenanigans are happening at the top, Onyia Capone goes down and he rescues and just basically brings out all the prison soldiers, including Mikasa, Armin, Connie and the others. Now here, the most important revelation is that Onyia Capone is not a traitor as everyone thought him to be, but rather he is actually wanting to help Paradis because they want the help of Paradis in order to defeat Marley once and for all. That was their original plan, that was the original goal. He was just not aware of the euthanization plan. He knows that children are the future, so he really does not want to support a plan like this. And the entire confrontation between Connie and Onyia Capone is just really well done in my opinion, and both the conflicting ideologies are actually really on point. Beyond all the giant titans fighting, this ideological warfare and point of views are what I really enjoy about Attack on Titan in the very first place. So this was really well executed, and along with that, how Onyia Capone is basically begging the others to join the fight of Eren because he thought that they are his friends. But the question arrives at this moment that is Eren actually everyone's friend? She has sort of given up because she says that she is definitely going to help Eren, but is this even her true self? Is this because she really knows Eren, or is this because of her Ackerman blood? And that's the tipping point. That's the question which everyone is asking at this moment. I mean, Armin is also like, you know that Eren is basically making up all of these stuff, but the question still remains. It's a lingering question from Mikasa as to what exactly is the truth. And to all of this, we finally end this episode with Eren's scream. That is episode 1 of Attack on Titan season 4 part 2. This was a mixed bag of an experience. I mean, as a first episode, it was definitely good, but this was not something spectacular and out of the box. I'd say that as a first episode, it's fine. It has a really cool opening. The overall production of the anime has improved. The lighting, the shots, the animation overall has improved. Even the CGI has actually improved. But at the end of the day, I'm just personally not a huge fan of the CGI Titans. But as I said in the beginning of this video, I have made my peace with it. So this is pretty much it. What do you guys think about this episode? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you excited about the future of AOT? Are you excited to see maybe a potential movie involving the Battle of Heaven and Earth? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. So this is it for today guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel for more. Join the channel membership for some very cool perks and features. Join the Discord server for more. This is Wonder by Z. I'll see you all on the next one.